Hello, I'm Rob Pitchford, Board President of the Historical Society of Palm Desert. We're out here in front of the Portola Community Center, which is featured in tonight's presentation. When this was built back in the early 60s, this was our community library. And we used to come down from Washington School, which is just up the street. Back then, this was a huge building, but I was only so high. I hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation. It's a movie called Palm Desert, A City in the Sand. Please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. If you'd like to join the Historical Society of Palm Desert, please go to www.hspd.org and hit the join button. We hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation.
This video is dedicated to Bob Keaty, an early business pioneer who spent a lifetime devoted to the success and growth of the city of Palm Desert. Bing Crosby was one of the first of many celebrities having a home in the newly formed city. Bing's house, located in the Silver Spur Ranch near Portola, was soon joined by other pioneers. Popular singer Lily Pons, along with property agent Adrian Swilk, greeted prospective customers. Horse riding was a popular pastime, and several stables were nearby. Before developer Clifford Henderson arrived, scattered ranches struggled to survive. Sturdy pioneers had to use primitive equipment, which often broke down. Homes were isolated, farming difficult, with underground water the greatest asset. Ancient tractors sometimes bogged down in the soft, yielding sands. Plentiful, water was extracted using a wind-powered well on pioneer Phil Boyd's ranch. The sandy soil and extreme summer temperatures limited types of agriculture. In some areas, sand dunes were replaced with thriving cotton fields. Later, the increasing land value began to decimate many large ranch acreages. Date trees adapted well and became one of the most successful enterprises. The Kirstein Ranch processed locally raised produce, grapes, and dates. It was across from today's Eisenhower Medical Center. The street known as Rio del Sol has been renamed Bob Hope Drive to honor his generous land donation for the medical center. A small airfield was established on a 340-acre parcel nearby. Prominent Los Angeles architect H.L. Gogarty developed the Desert Air Park as a luxury resort hotel. Many visitors were attracted to the area by flying over the valley, where a checkerboard of agriculture contrasted starkly with rolling sand dunes and sagebrush. This was becoming valuable land for housing and business development. Rattlesnakes, once common, were hopefully relocated to the surrounding foothills. The first Palm Village Market opened in 1946 with Bob Keaty as manager. Clifford Henderson was beginning to develop the city called Palm Desert. Frank Chisnall, a renowned artist, was an early pioneer. Another was Andy the Donkey Man, who entertained admiring children. desert horse riding was an enticement for visitors and investors. The valley's tallest palm tree was transplanted on Highway 111. It was to help promote development of this new city in the sand. Bob Keaty's tiny store was soon replaced with a larger, more modern facility on Highway 111, the Palm Village Market. The first large restaurant was called Palm Village Inn. It catered to local workers, residents, and travelers on Highway 111. The Palm Village Market building is now home of the Wacky Wicker. A golf driving range greeted visitors as they entered the young city. During the holiday season, decorative displays were posted along Highway 111. This created a festive atmosphere for local business enterprises. Homes of the early residents were sometimes vacated and abandoned when fortunes changed. As agriculture declined, workers moved down valley to survive. Some early restaurants succumbed as well, like the Adobe on Highway 74, south of El Paseo. Only a few survived the changes of time. One that has is Bob Keaty's Lunch Counter, now thriving under different ownership. Ed Mullen stands proudly outside his new pharmacy in the 1950s. Cliff Henderson and Edgar Bergen checked out the inside at the grand opening. The entrance to the Boyd Ranch near Portola is now home of the Palm Desert's Living Desert and the El Dorado Golf and Country Club. The El Dorado opened in 1961 as one of the first in the area. A new library also opened in the early 60s at Portola and Shadow Mountain Drive. The George Washington Elementary School, looking bare without shrubs or trees. The First Community Church and School, looking from Portola. The church and school, as seen from a sandy Shadow Mountain Drive. The First Church Christ Scientist across from today's post office on El Paseo. Vegetation was sparse, young palm trees thriving in the sandy soil. Beyond the church, west of Portola, stood the Shadow Mountain Terrace Club. This development was a small cluster of cabins. They boasted a swimming pool, complete with guard dog. This development preceded the present Shadow Mountain Resort Club, a modern-style home on the north side of Portola built in the 1950s. This pool at the Shadow Mountain Club remains, however. The tower and slides have been removed. However, the original swimming pool remains, much like Clifford Henderson constructed. Unfortunately, this beautiful pond was filled to facilitate new construction. The Blue Nun Lodge in El Paseo and Larkspur. Blue Nun was formerly called Firecliff Lodge. Sidewalks were removed for wider, more modern streets. Originated by Cliff Henderson and Leonard Firestone as the first nightclub in town, it was a popular meeting place for friends. Newly formed clubs and business groups also gathered here. Elegant shops now occupy the spot of the original building. Interior scenes of early buildings show a warm, comfortable atmosphere. Some business establishments appeared as attractive as elegant homes. Beautiful hardwood floors and artisan tile work was evident. As times changed, some business ventures failed. Others quickly replaced the vacancies on a growing El Paseo street. Unfortunately, this colorful neon sign no longer shines in the city's night skies. Shadowcliff Colony, named after and originated by Cliff Henderson, also has been removed in favor of valuable building sites. Some early pioneer shops, as Grace's, also have long since closed. The well-constructed building on the north side of Highway 111 remains today. A view of Highway 111 looking west toward Mount San Jacinto. An isolated post office was relocated to El Paseo and Portola. The Valley Lumber, later Houston Lumber, has fallen victim of changing times. Now let us see what has become of Clifford Henderson's vision of a city in the sand. The George Washington School. The former First Community Church, now surrounded with a prolific growth of shrubs, trees, and towering palms. The school's murals and unusual but decorative fencing, showing a modernization of the original school building. An iron gate has been added and great tree growth evident. Mount Eisenhower shows in the background in this view from Portola. First Church of Christ Scientist across from the El Paseo Post Office. This scene shows an amazing growth of palm trees and shrubs. Looking toward the tallest palm tree at the intersection of Portola and Highway 111. The library looking much like when first constructed in 1963. Arco Mini Mart and tallest palm tree on former Palm Village Inn site. A modernized crossroad looking north from the Circle K on Portola. El Paseo and Larkspur, future home of a new shopping complex. Shadow Mountain and Larkspur, palm trees waiting for transplanting. Former site of the Sun Colony Lodge, soon to be developed. multi-million-dollar shopping complex will be located at this prime area. The corner of El Paseo and Larkspur looking north. On this corner, the Firecliff Lodge, later called Blue Nun, was located. Looking across El Paseo, buildings of the 1950s remain. Facing east on Highway 111 toward Portola, showing beautiful landscaping. The Texaco, one of the first stations, is next to a vacant Houston lumber building. A busy Portola and Highway 111, Ace Hardware stands next to the Wacky Wicker. Original site of the Village Market, the first large grocery market in the area. Highway 111, looking west toward Mount San Jacinto. This building is now the LG Steakhouse on El Paseo and 111, an historic site, formerly the Desert Magazine building. Another historic site, the first apartment in Palm Desert, built by Randall Henderson in 1948, now a popular restaurant. Newest location of Ed Mullins Pharmacy near Lucky Market at San Pablo and 111. Keaty's Fountain and Grill, opened in June 1957 by Bob Keaty. Now a restaurant and coffee shop, it flourishes in central Palm Desert. Shadow Mountain Club on San Luis Rey was the first resort in the city. This popular resort was completed in 1948 by Clifford Henderson and partners. Site of the new library building at COD, dedicated in January of 1994. Palm Desert's high school band plays at the dedication ceremonies. Former Odell Ranch House, built in 1948, later the first resident for COD's president. Construction for the Crossroads Palm Desert's newest shopping center. This Lowe & Company project on Highway 111 and Painter's Path clearly shows that many businesses are attracted to this growing oasis. From barren desert, Cliff Henderson, his brothers, and associates created a beautiful, thriving community. This is where it all began, truly a city in the sand.